Hi there, Simon Woods from simonwoods.com. Today we've got some Californian wines. Now I've had some great Californian wines in my time. I've also had some mingers, really bad wine. And the problem for us here in the UK is that there's really not very much in between. At the bottom end you've got things like Gallo, Blossom Hill, which sell bucket loads of well, they call it wine, White Zinfandel, stuff like that. It's okay. I think it does an okay job in introducing people to wine, but it leaves people to believe that Californian wine is just simple, rather bland, rather sweet, and not very interesting. At the upper end, you've got wines that, I mean, you've got some wines that make Bordeaux look good value. It's not unusual now, if you're in a place like Napa Valley, to come out with your first vintage and to charge $100 for it. Why? Ego. I think it's entirely down to ego, and because that's what your neighbour's charging and you think your wine's as good as them. Never mind trying to establish a reputation, just go way up there. There are some cheaper Napa wines, not all that much cheaper, in order to find something that's half decent. One that has impressed me in the past is a wine made by a lady called Delia Viadere, and I've just tried her 2005 Viadere this weekend. It's about 2/3 Cabernet Sauvignon, the rest is Cabernet Franc. Now first, I've got quite a soft spot for this winery because I spent my 34th birthday there a few years ago, and they sang happy birthday to me, and I think they even got cake. I don't know whether the style of the wine's changed. Yesterday when I was tasting it, and I admitted it, I tasted it and then I finished off the bottle, not just me of course, I found it on the heavy side. I opened it, I gave it 4 or 5 hours to see what happened, and it remained really big, really full-bodied, intensely flavoured, but I was wondering whether it was just almost like too intense for its own good. Big, rich, berry, tar flavours, some of that almost Mediterranean olive edge. Yeah, lots and lots of flavour, but was there too much? So you've got your Blossom Hill end, you've got your upper end. I mean, this is 60 quid wine, and anyway, but there's not really been all that much that we've seen that fills the gap in between. So I've got 3 wines today which do sit in that gap in between. In UK terms, 2 of them are £12, one of them is £14, and I think they approximate the same prices in dollars. From the Castle Rock winery, I don't really know it all that well. I've got a Pinot, Central Coast Pinot 2008. Let's give this a whirl. This is the most expensive. This is the £14 one. And at that level, there's Burgundy's just about starting to kick in, and New Zealand's in its element, or just about getting into its element. Well, first thing I smell, it smells very young and fruity. 2008. So quite a bit of calming down to do. There's almost like, if I say something smells fizzy, I know what I mean. There's like this, you can smell bouncy berry fruit here. Good thing about it is it doesn't smell like it's over oaked or anything like that. It smells like I want to have quite a big glug of it. Don't know what the alcohol is, let's have a look. I'm sure it's on there somewhere, 13.5%. And of course, labels never lie. I really like that. There's almost an Italian feel to this juicy cherry edge, slightly sour, bitter cherry edge. And yeah, as I say, if there's oak there, it's not poking out at all. Maybe it's just adding a little bit of smoky edge. But what's really coming forward strong is that berry, raspberry, and cherry fruit. And it's sort of thing that this is exactly what New Zealand, this is exactly what California should be sending us far more of. Castle Rock Pinot Noir. Next one down, we've got a Syrah from Russian River Valley, 2007, and this and the next wine are both $11.99. Californian Syrah. There's some winemakers who go. There's a winery called Geyser Peak or Geyser Peak. I never know which to say. and that there's a load of Australian winemakers have ended up there, ex-Penfolds winemakers, and their influence has come through in some of the wines. But in general, where I find the Californian Syrah style, it's got a herbiness that I really don't find either in the Northern Rhone or in Australia. It reminds me much more of Syrah from the Languedoc, and there's some excellent wines around. Okay. It's funny, I smell this and it smells a more ambitious wine than the Pinot. The Pinot was just jolly and juicy and joyful. This one feels a bit sterner, a bit more structured. It's got like a vanilla edge to it, which pokes out just a bit too much for me. I'd almost have wanted them to if they have used it. I've got a bit of a sheet here. Let's have a see what they say about it. Oak 18 months, whereas the Pinot was only 5 months in oak. And I think maybe it's a bit too much. They've used a bit of French oak, a bit of American oak, and if you want to know what the difference between French and American oak is, think about the difference between the stereotypical Frenchman and the stereotypical American. One's big and friendly, not very subtle. One's slightly more anal retentive, but maybe a bit more if you uncover all the layers. So yeah, it's got mostly French oak and a bit of American, but I think they've overdone it here. I'd have preferred them to see it either in unoaked form or just use some older oak, so they just get that softening edge rather than the oaky vanilla flavour that comes through. But at 12 quid, it's okay. It's certainly okay. Last one, Petite Sirah. I think there's a society that they call PS I Love You, and Petite Sirah, it's one of those grapes that California had quite a long time ago. They had loads and loads of it, and but then as Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot in particular became more and more popular, people would uproot the Petite Sirah and plant something else. But the good thing is that it's now getting back into fashion as people get a bit bored with the Me Too diet of Cabernet all the time. And Petite Sirah is it's one of those. It's not intended to be subtle. It's intended to be really big, gutsy, rich, full of flavour. And this wine, it feels like it's going to not be a shy fawn. Let's put it that way. See, I find that more successful than the Syrah. The Syrah, they both probably got about the same amount of fruit. This has got lots and lots of tannin, and I find that chewiness. There is that same sort of slightly sweet vanilla oak there, which I'm not all that keen on, but there's the power of the wine really comes past that. Be interesting to see whether over the next 24 hours, I'll leave these bottles open and see whether this happens, but whether that vanilla edge calms down because I've only just opened the wines. But the fruit here, it's what I call blue fruit. It's almost like electric blackberries, electric blackcurrants. There's a slightly sparky edge to them. Whoops, got the whip back. Well, I'm wearing the right coloured jumper, but I'm not wearing the right coloured trousers. I've just gone and spilt those on my trousers. Never mind. Certainly the one I'm most impressed by with those three is the Pinot, then the Petite Sirah, and then the Syrah. And I think those California, please can we have some more wines like this? They fit the right price point. They're not over oaked, they're not overripe, and yeah, bully to Castle Rock.